Welcome everyone to our July Power Hour. Um, my name is Mohammed Ali, nicknamed Dali, and my pronouns are he, him. I am the Central Virginia organizer. Bienvenue, welcome everyone. Please add your name, pronounces, and state. Just heads up, this meeting is being recorded for people who couldn't make it. So, as you may know, this Power Hour is an orientation to the Chesapeake Climate Action Network, or as we call it, CCAN. We will talk about four things. The who, as in who is CCAN, who are our staff, who are our volunteers, and who are we together as a movement for climate justice. The what are our priorities across the organization? The why did you join CCAN? What action did you take? What is keeping you up at night? We will have a brief discussion and we will create a Mentimeter. So the how break out by like the how we will break out by state, and you will fill out your survey and our top priority campaign. So how folks can get involved, how would you like to be involved, and next steps plus signing up. And then we will have questions and discussions. So we will address any questions you have during the breakouts. Please write them down so you don't forget them. I am excited to introduce my fellow CCAN team on this call and invite them to share their names, pronouns, and titles. Staff, please introduce yourself. Let me start by Mustafa.
Hi, everyone. Mustafa, he, him, Director of Campaigns and Strategies at CCAN. I live out of, or not live, I live in DC and I work out of our Tacoma Park office. Yeah, one thing that motivates me is I've got a 5.5 and almost 4-year-old girls. So, trying to make sure that we have a livable future for them is important to me. I'll pass it to Isla.
Hi everyone. My name's Isla. She, her pronouns. I am our DC organizer with CCAN, and fittingly, I live in DC, in Columbia Heights area. And what motivates me to get involved with CCAN and climate action is just I love people, I love working with people, and I always feel so inspired to see how like three people working together on a common cause can make a really big difference. And I'll pass it to Dustin.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Dustin Branch. I use he, they pronouns. I'm the Baltimore Regional Coordinator here at CCAN, living in the greatest city in the United States, Baltimore, in the beautiful Mount Vernon neighborhood. I think the biggest thing that invigorates me working here at CCAN is out of all the campaigns I've worked on and all the places I've been through many election cycles. It all comes back to the climate. Each and every issue that I've ever organized on and that I see in our country each and every day comes back to the climate crisis, and being able to build a movement with you all to combat it is just really incredible. How about y'all? Just post in the chat, please.
Thank you so much, Mustafa, Ayla, Dustin. I forgot to let you know what motivated me to join CCAN. So what really motivated me is first the unreliable transportation system in the US, because when I first came here, I was honestly shocked about the reliability of transportation system. And second, climate deniers. Like I thought, what? Like here there are people who don't really believe in climate stuff. So yes, this is why I joined this bunch of great people, and I'm really excited. I joined first as a volunteer, and then I am the Central Virginia organizer. And Dustin, Richmond is a great city as well. So fingers crossed. So now we would love to get to know you. Please write in the chat your name, pronouns, if you feel comfortable sharing them, what city and state you are calling in from, and a sentence or two about what's motivating you to get more involved with CKAN, as Dustin mentioned. So you will have a chance to share more in the chat throughout the presentation in just a bit, and a chance to meet other people in your state later in the meeting. I will pass it to Dustin.
All right, everyone. So this is a picture of most of the 25 plus staff that we have working here at CKAN across DC, Maryland, and Virginia. We are an organization that punches significantly above our weight. But why is that? How can we achieve this? We're a regional organization with grassroots organizing staff working in Washington, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and we do work on both a local and state level. We also have a federal team that is focused on lobbying our federal legislators and different agencies, and our campaign and advocacy teams who work hand in hand with our communications, development, and executive leadership to build a dynamic organization that has a voice on local, state, and the national stage. But really our goal is to organize ourselves out of a job. The number one thing that we care about is helping volunteers like yourselves get ready to build a powerful grassroots movement. And one of the ways that we do that is through building our action teams. So we have several action teams throughout the region. They are semi-autonomous volunteer-led groups that work with the geographically relevant organizer for their area to develop a purpose statement, priorities, and a leadership structure that empowers volunteers to take on different leadership roles and drive our longer-term power and base building and the execution of key campaign tactics. So lobbying, calling other voters, coming out to high visibility actions, all of those different things. These teams are the ones who set their own pace for their meetings, usually every month, and they develop their own decision-making structures. We really work to empower our volunteers to take on the significant work that the climate crisis requires and to drive that work in their own communities. So our action teams span a considerable portion of the DMV out in DC. We have Isla's team here in Maryland. We have the Anne Arundel action team that is being developed and will be launched within the next year. Of course, for myself, we have the Baltimore area action team. We have the CKAN Eco MoCo action team right there within the Beltway. And then we have, of course, gorgeous Prince George's County, which is still in formation. So if you're out in PG, come join us. Down in VA in Virginia, we have the 757 action team in Hampton Roads, the Nova New Leaf in Northern Virginia, and the Richmond Community Climate Action in Central Virginia, RCCA. But some of our priorities across all of our teams are advancing statewide moratoriums on dirty, polluting data centers and advocating for local zoning and permitting regulations that protect our environment and our natural resources. We want to stop the build out of fossil fuel infrastructure and advance legislation to make polluters pay for their contributions to the climate crisis that we are all dealing with right now. We also want to increase and expedite investments in renewable energy, in addition to helping to lower costs for poor and working class families so they can be able to afford the transition to electrification and clean energy. But I will pass it over to Mustafa to talk about our invasive vines program.
Yeah, so in Southeast DC, we are focused on removing invasive vines from trees in both parklands as well as on residential properties and we're doing weekly events, mostly on Wednesdays and on Saturdays in Southeast DC, as well as in the Hyattsville area. And in Langdon Park in DC, which you can see on the right, the picture on the right, we are focused on uprooting and cutting vines from the park lands. And so both of these efforts tie into our mission, because if we have trees and we have healthy green spaces, that helps to capture carbon and provide clean air and continue to cool our communities through the tree canopy. Next slide. Okay, great. At the federal level, we're advocating for 4 things. One is funding for research on solar geoengineering, a strengthened and improved FEMA to help communities that get hit by extreme weather events, and fighting back against Trump and Congress's clean energy, climate, and environment regulatory rollbacks. And we're also, unfortunately, there is House legislation that we don't think will have a chance of passing, largely due to there's only a few weeks in the session. They'll be on the calendar in September, but there is a House bill that would provide immunity waivers to polluters to make them literally immune from things like our Make Polluters Pay legislation on state and federal level. So these issues are, they're really important to me, and I'm concerned about data centers. I'm concerned about the building out of fossil fuel infrastructure, because data centers are a driver for increasing energy costs. They're a major, of course, source of emissions and are toxic to our environment. And additionally, the infrastructure is being driven by billionaires who want to fast track the projects. And so we are going to soon be launching a petition and campaign calling for data center moratorium federally, as well as in our states, Maryland and Virginia. So let's go to the next slide. I just want to take a couple of minutes to ground us in a conversation about what is driving you all to take this action with us. It's likely that you signed up to join CCAN because you share our values and are interested in our priority campaigns. But we'd love to hear from you, why you decided to take the action to sign the petition and to show up tonight. Folks, you feel free to hop off mute or put comments into the chat.
I can go first. Obviously, like you said, we're all here because we share the same values. I've kind of devoted my career to conservation and environmental education, but I really want to get into the advocacy space, just especially under our current administration. It's just been something that's weighing heavy on my heart, and I want to kind of step into that new arena. So I'm really excited to get involved in Baltimore and do what I can.
Thanks so much, Maggie. Amazing. Well, you and Dustin should definitely connect if you have not already. Anybody else like to share? Pam, go ahead. Pam, why don't we do Margot since you're off mute, and then we can do Pam next.
Thanks. Hi, everybody.
Margot.
Hi, I'm Margot Edmonds. I live in Silver Spring, but I've been in the DMV for most of my life. So I'm really interested in regional collaboration around issues because we're not doing too well with all our separate jurisdictions. I got very interested in getting more involved with the Potomac spill, the sewage spill, and then more recently with the fireworks contributing to the data center air pollution coming from Northern Virginia into Montgomery County. I think I'm interested in getting more kind of involved in regional collaboration, both around policy issues, but I have worked in policy most of my career and never was allowed to have an opinion. So now I'm not working in policy. I'm interested in getting more involved in advocacy. So it's nice to be among folks with like-minded values. And thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Thanks so much for sharing that, for sharing that, Margot. And it seems like we have now, you and Maggie saying like that you're pivoting from doing either the conservation or the policy work to also get involved in doing the grassroots things and building power. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Pam, and then I'll pass it off to Isla next, and Dina.
Thank you, Mustafa. I'm here. Originally, I said in the chat that it was because of my children and grandchildren, and I want to leave the world as somewhat better and less polluted than it is right now. And I know that's a huge thing to say, but it's a goal. But the other thing really is this current administration motivated me really to take some action. It's just so frustrating and overwhelming and painful to watch this process devolve, really. So I'm here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much. You and Pam, you and I have something in common, both in terms of motivation with the grandkids and my children. Yeah, I've got an uphill battle here. So thank you for joining us. Okay, I'm going to pass it to Isla, who I think is going to introduce Dina to share a little bit more about why they got involved and how they got involved. So Isla, you want to introduce Dina?
Yes. Yeah, so just to transition us a bit, shared values are what fuels our teams and our work here at CCAN. I heard us talking about how we believe in taking action regionally, fighting pollution, being an advocate, fighting for systemic change. And we believe in grassroots organizing because we've seen it work. Dina is a volunteer with the DC Action Team, and she's been really instrumental in welcoming new folks to the team, planning events, lobbying council members, and lots of other things. So Dina, I'm going to pass it to you to share your story of how you got involved with CCAN and a little, or not so little, CCAN win.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for the intro. I didn't realize there was going to be a photo of me in the slideshow too. But yeah, I'm super happy to be here. My background is in grassroots organizing. I have mostly worked for environmental nonprofits as a career. And, working for Greenpeace specifically, I came out of that with the knowledge that if you bear witness to a problem, then you take on the responsibility of having to do something about it. And so I moved to DC about 5 years ago, and I had kind of tried to jump into the climate space because I work more in just political advocacy now, democratic protections, all that jazz. I'd sought out climate groups. So I went to a couple protests. I, found Fridays for Future, Sunrise, which I love, League of Conservation Voters. But whatever it was about CCAN, I immediately felt welcome. I think it was that I attended a book reading in the backyard of my building, where Mike Tidwell was talking about the disappearing willow trees. And then Claire Mills, who I believe is the campaign manager coordinator for DC, she gave a chat about all of the work that we're doing here locally. And so I think that what really drew me to CCAN is that, we just a couple slides ago showed all the areas that we cover, but not only are we really active and very pinpoint on a local scale, but we're working to enforce or influence rather federal policy as well, which is super important to me. So yeah, that is how I got involved. I just showed up to a CCAN event, expressed my desire to get involved, and was immediately welcomed, immediately given a way to do that. And so, as Isla said, we've been working on the Make Polluters Pay study bill campaign. And to my knowledge, this has only been going on, I mean, the campaign was active and we were engaging people for about 6 months. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that is a crazy turnover to have a win on this campaign. Sorry, hold on one second. There is a call coming in from another tab. Okay. Yeah, so that's like a crazy turnover for a win. Essentially what the Make Polluters Pay study bill is all about is we are not responsible for climate change as individuals. We know that it is a handful of billionaires and billion-dollar fossil fuel corporations that lied to us for decades and continue to pollute this earth and dredge up all of this gas and oil for the sake of short-term profits. And so climate change is real. It is not something we can do, we can tackle just by recycling and being vegetarian. So we need to hold those folks accountable. And we need to be prepared as DC, as cities, states at large, for the impending impacts of a changing climate. So the study bill is comprised of two parts. The first is we want to pass, or we did pass, a bill that proposed a year-long study that would research the qualitative, quantitative impacts of climate change on the district. So things like where infrastructure needs to be improved for heating, for cooling, for things like increased flood zones, or just maybe communities that are the most impacted. So what impacts will look like, and then what it will cost to address those impacts and to shore up our infrastructure. So you can see on the slide that we did a bunch of petitioning. We wrote postcards and letters and made phone calls and sent emails to our DC council members. We were instrumental in getting Janice Lewis-George, our next mayor, to introduce the study bill. And then we were able to get a ton of council members, I believe it was 6, don't quote me on the number, to co-sponsor the bill. And then what we did is we showed up at the budget hearing for deciding, the budget of the council and all of the committees, as well as how they would spend that money. And we were able to not only get the study bill funded in the budget, but we were able to put languaging in that budget that passed it at the same time. And that is so exciting because it was really quick and it was really fun to be showing up at my, I live in Ward 6, Council Member Charles Allen. He is my council member, but he's also the chairman of the Environmental and Transportation Committee. So he was kind of the person we needed to influence the most as a leader on climate in the council to push this bill forward and to get it funded. So it was really fun for me to be able to establish that connection, to kind of make my face known to my council member and to show up repeatedly. And then also to just help Isla and the rest of the CCAN team bring on more volunteers, host more actions that got people to actually take part in getting this accomplished, and then ultimately to see that victory happen. Everyone on this call probably knows that often you're in a climate space doing grassroots organizing, and it takes months, if not years, to see victories, especially victories on this scale. So that's really exciting. And then the last portion of this is obviously once the study is conducted and we have the hard facts for the impacts and the cost, then we shouldn't have to pay for it because we didn't cause it. So the second part of that bill will be getting a climate super fund established where we have the biggest polluters. Make Polluters Pay is the name of the bill. So the fossil fuel companies that have made billions of dollars and emit tons of greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere, we will have them pay into that super fund proportional to the pollution that they've emitted, and they will pay for the damage that we need to prepare our city for. So again, super exciting campaign, super happy that we got the first leg of it passed, and just really excited to bring on new folks and to keep it going.
Thank you so much, Gina, for all your efforts to make things moving forward. And our local action teams are where volunteers like you and Ishan can step into leadership, help shape campaigns, and contribute in creative ways based on their own skills and interests. Ishan Mittal from Charlottesville is one of the newest members of the Richmond Community Climate Action, or RACA, and he has already become one of our most active and committed volunteers. He created an online tool that helps Virginians learn how their state legislators voted on data center legislation. He also produced a documentary about the campaign against the proposed gas plant in Fluvanna County and joined RACA volunteers for a lobby day with Delegate Bestie Carr, and you can see his photos in her recent newsletter. Ishan is a wonderful example on how a new volunteer can quickly find meaningful ways to contribute. He will take a few minutes to share what motivated him to get involved, what his experience with RACA has been like, and how others can use their own talents to support our work. Ishan, the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Ishan, and I'm a high school student from Charlottesville. And over the last 2 years, I've gradually become more and more involved with climate advocacy all around Virginia. And so I personally come from a family of conservationists, and I spent like a lot of my childhood outdoors in the bay with my older brother, and he was almost obsessed with doing conservation work. Like I remember very fondly that back when he was in high school, we would always go into the bay and like we would do oyster restoration and things like that. And so that really deeply influenced my thoughts around the environment. And like personally now with like federal changes and state changes, I keep seeing an unwillingness for systemic change across the political spectrum. And I had a realization that like a lot of the places and experiences in the Bay or around Virginia that I hold close might not be available to others in the near future. And so some of the things I'm most interested in are like the green energy transition, modeling ways to increase the effectiveness of the energy grid, and most importantly, figuring out how to influence public opinion of both like the next generation and of our legislators. So some of the things I did in the past was that I filmed and directed a mini documentary on gas plants, which I think you might have shared. And it was on the Tenaska natural gas plant in Fluvanna, Virginia, and they approved it despite like public pushback. But it will cause almost $500 million or more in cumulative health costs across Central Virginia. And so after the plant got improved, I personally had like a mental shift where I was like, wait, we can try and like individually stop all these gas plants and try that all we want. But the root cause is at like the state level and beyond, where we're adding data centers and where legislators aren't listening to us. And so that's kind of when I got involved with, I moved from like local nonprofits, which are really important, but to like CCAN and like more state level work and community work. And so and one of the things I noticed, because I was especially interested in data centers after the gas plant setback, is that it's really difficult for ordinary citizens to look at their legislators' voting record in Virginia, especially on data centers, which I think is even more important given that Virginia has very lax campaign finance laws. And so one of the things I created, kind of with the help and advice of some people in like the Richmond CCAN group and of in Charlottesville, was like a data center legislative scorecard so that Virginians can quickly contact their legislators about the bills they're interested in, so we can counteract like regulatory capture in Richmond. And the idea is that people can find their legislators, see how they voted, and then email them if they feel comfortable doing that. And then I'm also deeply interested in not only sharing the impacts of climate change, but also exploring positive solutions so that we can fight against climate cynicism, which I personally feel is on the rise. I think it's really important that we focus on grassroots work to engage communities, and then also not just only like say talk about the impacts of climate change, but then show like these are things that we can do against it. Like we can do community organizing, and then these are like we can build renewable energy projects. Like these are things we can do rather than saying this is what's going to happen, this is inevitable, which may be true, but it it uh, it won't enact systemic change. And so I think we need to provide a simple and easy way to a simple and easy vision of a sustainable future so that everybody can get involved. And I think most importantly, we need to involve our legislators in our efforts to build a sustainable society. That's just a bit about me.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Ishan. And I was just checking out your tool. That is awesome. Um, but I did want to throw it back to everyone who is here. Now that we have a taste of what this kind of organizing can look like in each of our communities, each of our jurisdictions, we want to hear from some of you. So we're going to drop a link in the chat. You can also scan, if you're at home on your computer, you can take your phone and scan that QR code. This is kind of like a survey tool, and it's going to bring everything together in a nice word cloud. So let's take a couple minutes to scan that QR code and fill out what's called a Mentimeter to let us know what values or issues are resonating with you that you heard in these examples. I'm going to switch my screen share so we can see our results, but let's take a couple minutes to fill out the Mentimeter. And I'll leave this up on the screen. It's also in the chat. You can just click on that and it'll take you right there to enter your answer. I'll leave this QR code on the screen for a couple more seconds and then switch over. Okay, we have a few coming in now. I don't know about y'all, but it seems like we have a couple things in common. I don't know.
We definitely have.
You might need to refresh. It should be loading, but it's more responsive, but maybe you might need to refresh too, Dustin.
Oh, we got one more. We'll give it another 30 seconds or so. I like what I'm seeing here. All right. Now, what I would, excellent, Pam. I agree with you. I resonate with everything that is up here on the screen. Now, there's still a chance to put it in your answer if you have not done so already. Here we go. We got some more. Let me just make sure that we can see all of these. I got to scroll down a little bit. We got fighting gas plants, fossil fuel infrastructure, sense of community. Can we have a couple people just raise their hands or go off mute on Zoom? Tell us if you can see yourself doing some of the things that you heard described in these updates. or if there's something, some way that your community is being affected, a local environmental justice issue or climate issue that you see. We have a whole lot of flooding up here in Baltimore. Go ahead, Kate.
Hi. I'm pretty new to DC. I've been here a couple months, and I moved from Maine, where I was working at an environmental advocacy organization, and I found that like speaking to legislators in my work capacity, but also just on an individual level, was really meaningful to me because, you know, sustainability on an individual level is really important. But I feel like, you know, we've seen history of fossil fuel companies literally doing campaigns to kind of put the onus on individuals to fight climate change themselves. And it was actually really exciting that in my last legislative session, Maine passed the Make Polluters Pay study. So I was so excited to see DC working on this and would love to be involved.
Thank you. You landed on quite a few points that I vehemently agree with and do not get discussed enough. So thank you, Kate. I also really like this answer down here. Just learning what you do and where I might fit in somewhere. Whomever wrote that, would you like to raise your hand and tell us a little bit more? Where would you like to fit in? What are some things that you would like to do? We make phone calls not only to our neighbors and other voters, but also to our legislators to pressure them for and against different issues that come up during legislative session. There's also, here in Maryland at the very least, there's a special session coming up very, very soon as well. There are so many different ways to get involved. Go ahead, Chris.
I didn't write that, but I resonate with it. I am still kind of figuring out, you know, sort of what are the things I can do, what I might be best suited to do. But like the one thing I can do, I know I can do is to show up. And so that's like the step and the action that I'm taking, and trusting that that's going to generate you know, some good outcomes because of that. And so yeah, that really sums up probably better than I was able to do while I'm here right now.
Yeah. And just like Isla said in the chat, that's the most important step. I recall on the first day of legislative session here in Maryland, either it was the beginning of this year or last year, most, you know, community organizing groups, they wait until it's a little bit warmer. They're not there on the first day of session, and legislators are actually coming up to us shocked that we mobilized so many people to not only set the stage on the very first day of session, but also help set the narrative for that. And we saw a picture not too long ago. It was for our No New Gas campaign, when they were seeking to expand fossil fuel production here in Maryland. So the first and most important step is just showing up and showing that you have a stake in this movement and what we're trying to do. So thank you for sharing that. All right, and I will stop my screen share and go back to our presentation here.
Okay, great. I actually think, Dustin, we can kind of keep it here, and you don't actually need to share the screens right now. Great. So we're gonna stay cozy and together in one room, and I think it feels very fitting given the sense of people wanting to connect with like-minded people and community, that I saw on the Mentimeter, and people raising the point that they're trying to learn to think about how they fit in, which actually transitions us really well to the conversation that I want to help facilitate with you all, which is we have a lot of opportunities to be getting involved in our campaigns that are across the organization. I think what's defining our work across the region is primarily four things actually. One is data centers. We're going all out moratorium. We'll be fighting for a moratorium in Annapolis and Maryland. We now have about 80% of people in Maryland live in a county that has either done a moratorium or a ban. I mean, we have, I think it's 12 counties across the state now that have implemented those. And in Virginia, we're also working towards a moratorium to stop the build out of the expansive amount of data centers that are already there. And we know that data centers are driving up energy costs because they are creating more customers for the utilities, but they're also creating more demand. The utilities see this as an opportunity to make a lot more money, and they're also driving up the demand, which means that these companies are expecting customers across our region to be fronting the cost for the energy that's needed to run these data centers. So energy and clean and affordable energy is a primary campaign across the region. As well as we're fighting fossil fuel infrastructure in DC. They've been trying to, with some success, build out Washington Gas, build out gas pipelines throughout the city. And in Virginia, there are many fossil fuel infrastructure fights happening across the state that we are involved in. And so those are, and then we also have in every state, Make Polluters Pay is one of our defining campaigns. So I want to share that as the 10,000 foot in terms of the campaigns that we're doing, and I want to give it, give the opportunity to our organizers in each of these states to say a little bit more about the specifics of the campaigns in the states and how folks can get involved. And so I want to popcorn it to somebody on the team who would like to go first, either DC, Virginia, or Maryland. And then, well, I'll invite for folks, once we have the person from that state share, I'll invite for folks who are in that state to, respond with questions and see what next steps you would like to take. Dustin, why don't you go first? You okay to do that?
Very good. Yep. All right, y'all. So I am holding it down for Maryland this evening. Our big focus right now is on data centers. Thanks to activists all over the state, and we have been involved or have been supporting the vast majority of counties, but I believe Mustafa mentioned it, 7 out of every 10 Marylanders lives in a county with a data center moratorium, if not a ban, like all the way out in Harford County. So we have quite a few events. What I would like to drop in the chat here is the link to schedule a meeting with each of your organizers for your respective areas here in Maryland. In addition to our link tree and our upcoming events. So out in Montgomery County, we have some upcoming, it's a little over the limit here. But out in Montgomery County, we have our EcoMoco Action Team meetings in Prince George's. You can get in contact with our Central Maryland coordinator, Beth, by emailing them, beth@chesapeakeclimate.org. We also have action team meetings for Prince George's that we are getting formulated. Here in Baltimore, we have a lull in a lot of the data center advocacy work that we have been doing. So we are going to be going out to South Baltimore this weekend, all the way up, and each and every Saturday, all the way up to the 15th, to knock on doors in Brooklyn and Cherry Hill to talk to the residents about making polluters pay for the damage that they cause. It is an industrial center, and we have a trash incinerator right in the middle of the city. My Charm City friends know this all too well. And I'll just make sure to throw that in the chat there. So we're going to talk to folks about what they think should happen, and sign them up, if they like, for an at-home test of their gas stove as part of our Electrified Baltimore Coalition work, studying indoor air quality and helping to assist those who have a toxic buildup of nitrogen dioxide gas from their fossil fuel cooking equipment. Please check the links in the chat for your region, and I'll pass it to one of my other organizers.
I can go. Thank you so much, Dustin, for this presentation. And of course, for Virginia, it's data centers, dirty spores for data, dirty data centers in Nova, Central Virginia, and also everywhere. So in Central Virginia, for instance, our local group voted for data center as a priority, and we are joining a coalition which is Data Center Defiance Central Virginia. I don't know if you heard about it or not. It's just in Chesterfield, Richmond, Hanover, and Henrico. There will be 100+ data centers. So really things are getting very serious. And right now there is a meeting for our coalition. Anyway, also we are part of another coalition statewide. So we are calling for a moratorium or a pause, and we have a lot of activities going, tabling, gathering petitions, organizing events like festivals, town hall, educating people in libraries and everywhere, just like to say that those data centers are dirty, and we need to pause until we have environmental standards and until we have, like, we make sure that they won't impact our energy bills and they won't impact our natural resources. So this is the most important campaign, I would say. Also in Central Virginia, we do have transportation, two mobility campaigns that we've been working with the students. One, it's about better sidewalks. It's very local, guys. And also the second one is to ensure funding from VCU to the GRTC to keep fares free. The third important campaign in Richmond also is the code refresh, the zoning code refresh in Richmond, just like to avoid segregation and all of this stuff. So to get in touch with me, Dustin is sharing, or any of my colleagues from Nova and Hampton Roads. So he's sharing our links. There will be also, we have, like, all of us, we have our monthly meetings. If you would love to be involved in Central Virginia, please, guys, get in touch with me. If you would love to be involved in Nova, get in touch with my colleague Tink, and in Hampton Roads area with Michelle. And also we have a certain events, and we will be tabling very soon. So please, guys, join us and text me or email me if you would love to have one-on-one, or if you would love to participate in one of our events. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will move it over Ayla.
I'm going to be presenting for the DC, so I'll just introduce myself. I'm Macy. I'm the DC campaign intern this summer, and I'll just talk a little bit about our main 3 campaigns that we're working on. So the first one is Make Polluters Pay, which Dina talked a little bit about, protecting DC residents and raising funds from fossil fuel companies and other polluters to help pay for the costs and the impacts of climate change on DC. And we've had a lot of progress on that, as Dina talked about the win that we recently had with the DC Council advancing the study and putting the budget, mention it in the budget. So right now, a lot of the work we're doing is mostly outreach and organizing, trying to educate more DC residents about the Make Polluters Pay campaign and study and get feedback from them. So a lot of tabling and petition signing and all of that. And our second is Stop Project Pipes. So this is a group working to stop Washington Gas from replacing all the DC gas lines when that would commit us to fossil fuel infrastructure. Yet there are lots of leaks and something needs to be done. So we're advocating for new leaders in the Public Service Commission, and two of the three of them have continued to vote with Washington Gas. So hopefully getting new leaders will go away from Washington Gas and lower bills for residents. And then electrification is our third campaign. And this project is identifying and presenting case studies of multi-family buildings in DC to kind of serve as examples of opportunities for electrifying and sharing resources to help folks electrify multi-family buildings. Overall, we just want to help people overcome the barriers to electrification that are present in DC. And so, yeah, as I mentioned before, the main goal of this summer and this season until January is a lot of outreach and education, connecting with volunteers through phone banking, social media, tabling. There's so many opportunities to get involved in that. And yeah, I'll put this in the chat. Here's a climate action survey, if you'd like to fill it out. And one thing you can do as an action, ways to get involved, is to meet with an organizer if you haven't. So it'd be Isla or myself. And I think she can put her link in the chat to sign up to meet with her. And also come to our next action meeting. We have a DC activist group, and our next meeting is September 23rd. So you can sign up for that as well. And that's where we talk about all these campaigns and what we're doing, the recent updates, and volunteers really take the lead on kind of, these campaigns. So it's a great opportunity to get involved. And I think all the links are in the chat.
And fantastic. Thanks so much, Macy. And I know that there's a lot of information that's coming at all of you. Don't worry, tomorrow I'm sending out a follow-up email with the recording of this, as well as the links to everything, so that you can look at those and decide what you want to sign up for. But I wanted to just take a few minutes to see if there's anything that you heard that's really resonating with you that you want to sign up and get involved in. Kate, what about for you? We just wrapped up with DC. You're a DC resident, right?
Yes.
You're fantastic. And you mentioned a specific issue that you're interested in getting involved in DC, if I remember correctly. Can you remind us what that was?
Make Polluters Pay.
Make Polluters Pay. Fantastic. And so I know that the DC team is, of course, doing outreach and education and sort of, like building our list of people or audience around that issue. Is that something that you would be interested in, maybe just scheduling time for you to talk with Macy or Isla to help with that?
Yeah, I actually talked to Macy yesterday. That's how I found out
Oh
about
my
this
goodness.
call.
Of course, the one person I asked, because that's fantastic. There you go, organizing, working. Amazing. That's amazing. So what came out of that? What came out of that one-on-one? Was to come to this call?
Yes, to come to this call, I definitely want to go to the action meeting in September. And I've signed up. I did the volunteer form so that I'm on your email list.
Fantastic. Thanks for doing that. What about for you, Maggie? Did you hear anything that from Dustin that resonated with you?
Yeah, Dustin and I actually met a
Oh my
couple days
God.
ago too,
There
which is how I got here.
you
Really
go.
excited about making polluters pay and also just like the Healthy Buildings Act that the Baltimore team is working on and just like making the transition to electrification more accessible for everybody in Baltimore. And I'm also going to go to the power mapping session that's at the beginning of August. And I'm really excited to go to that just to kind of understand it more. I've been looking into like the Baltimore Gas and Energy Company on my own time, and it's kind of convoluted. And I like recently, y'all probably knew this, but I didn't until this week that like energy trading is a thing and just like how much power there is behind the Baltimore Gas and Energy Company. So I'm excited to go to the power mapping, and just kind of understand the systems behind the work we're doing a little bit more.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. A great plug for the power mapping training. If somebody on the team can plug that link in the chat, that would be great. Yeah, and I'm very, very excited. Dustin is going to be doing very interesting canvassing, and as you mentioned, in South Baltimore on making polluters pay. And we're going to be doing this fall a canvas that's going to be focused on basically doing a community audit, like walking through the neighborhood and auditing the infrastructure that's not there that could help us make our communities more resilient in the face of extreme weather events. And we'll use it as an opportunity to create an invoice that we are going to send to polluters to cover those costs. So very excited about that. So please be on the lookout for that and sign up for it. Chris, remind me where are you hailing from?
I'm in DC.
You're also in DC.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Was there something that you heard from Isla that was motivating to you, or I'm sorry, from Macy that was motivating to you?
I did like the electrification, and I was just going through the survey, and I saw a few things in there that I liked about protecting communities from flooding and clean transportation, public transportation. Yeah, and the electrification event I thought was interesting. So I think I'll try to find out some more about that.
Yeah. So Macy, Isla, who should Chris set up a one-on-one with to follow up? We can get that scheduled right now.
I'll put my link in the chat. I put it in, but it wasn't actually hyperlinked, so I'll send it to you right now. Let's talk
Okay.
more.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Fantastic. And Margot, where are you hailing from again?
I'm currently in Silver Spring, just over the DC line, very near to Tacoma Park.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Well, did you hear anything from Dustin that was motivating to you?
I heard many, many things, and so I'm trying to figure out where to focus my efforts. I've done a lot of hill visits for other folks, so interested kind of down the line in maybe going to Annapolis. I'm also really concerned about the health effects of data centers, and particularly interested in getting collaborations across the river between where I live in Montgomery County and what's going on in Loudoun County in Northern Virginia, and maybe hoping that we could talk further and see who knows whom. Can we do a little more coordinated response when we have weather events?
Absolutely. And if you could just make a note for us, Margot Beth, our Central Maryland coordinator, asked for them to follow up with you tomorrow to set up a one-on-one. We have a number of work group sessions that are scheduled on the data center ZTAs in Montgomery County over the next couple of months. They just announced that they're going to do an 18-month moratorium on data centers. So we're really trying to build out some best practices in Montgomery County. And then possibly, this is a preview for you all, but we may be doing an event in Annapolis on August 4th that will be announcing of a data center moratorium, because they're going to be in special session, right, where they're going to be focused on another important issue, redistricting, but we'll use it as an opportunity, hopefully, to announce that and potentially do some lobbying also on making polluters pay. So if we do that, you will know about it. We'll send out the details.
Thank you.
And we'll make that decision in the next couple of days.
I'm also really
Great.
interested in invasive plants. Totally different topic. It's so satisfying to get them out of the ground. So, I can sign up for some of those work groups maybe.
Absolutely. Well, I'm happy to stay on for a few more minutes to talk more with folks. But I want to give folks permission to leave if you would like to head out. That is totally okay. But if folks want to stay on for a few more minutes to talk about how they could get involved, I'm very happy to do that. But for those who would like to leave, thanks so much for joining us.
I've been super quiet this whole time.
Yes, Amber.
But I wanted to talk for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Because
Where
I
are
am
you
in
hailing
Loudoun
from?
County. Oh, what?
Oh, okay. You're from Loudoun County. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I feel like for me, I've definitely seen firsthand the effects of data centers and have been like super frustrated by that. I haven't actually met with Ting yet, but I've reached out, and so hopefully we'll get that set. But that's something that's like I'm really passionate about, like is these data centers really messing us up real bad.
Absolutely. Isla, if we can just make a note for Ting to make sure promptly follow up with Amber, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, and so yeah, it's at the end of May, we, folks from Prince George's County council, council members and some staff, it came out, the reporting that they went to Loudoun County to learn best practices around data centers. So it seems like you have a different take, Amber, about what's happening in Loudoun County.
I mean, I just feel like they just like don't care. They're just building up a million data centers and they just don't care about us or what's going on or how it affects us or anything. My family, we got solar early on into like our home ownership. So we haven't seen quite the costs drive up that we would be seeing. But like what's annoying is that even though it's like, oh, we haven't seen the cost drive up, we're still getting an energy bill, even though like we have solar. We shouldn't have to pay any energy at all. We have solar, but it's because of these data centers.
Yes, yeah. It's really, really bad. And I think, I'm a DC resident, and just in the last couple of years, the utility rates have gone up by something like 52%. They're north of 50%. And data centers in Northern Virginia are a big driver of the increase in cost. Just because of how it impacts the regional
power
grid.
outages all the time.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's rough.
I had back in the fall, I came to do canvassing in Loudoun County and Prince George's County for a couple of candidates, and it was impressive to me to periodically be hearing like the hum.
Yeah.
Like just like the hum, the whirring, and so we've been talking in Maryland about like don't become like Loudoun County. Don't do that. Don't do that.
It's awful. Please don't.
So yeah, absolutely. Well, Amber, we'll have Ting follow up with you. I know that Ting is doing lots of base building and outreach, and you sound very, very sort of hyper sort of motivated around that, which is great. And so certainly there's opportunities for both collaboration and doing outreach just to folks that are in your own community, but also joining Ting and other volunteers for events.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys hanging back. I'm sorry. I was like so nervous the whole time. I'm like, they all know so much more than me.
You okay?
I was like, I just need to say
Hey,
something.
no, this is not that, but also this is not about knowing the technical policy, and in fact, that is a reason or justification that the opposition uses a lot to try to squash dissent, is to say
Yeah, I
this
guess
issue
you're
is
right.
more complicated, right? This issue is more complicated, to make it feel like it's not accessible. But I think you make it pretty clear that this is pretty simple. I just don't want data centers and the impacts that come with data centers in my backyard. And that's the story that we need to be telling. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. So I'll definitely connect with Ting. I tried to reach out a while ago, but then they were like, "Oh, hey, there's this orientation." So I was like, "Cool, I'll just go to that." So
Well, I'll definitely flag for Ting. Yes, we'll make sure that Ting talks to you very, very soon. So thanks so much, Amber.
Thank you guys. Doing great work.
Thank you so much.